What's up, Peace Players family across the world and in South Africa? My name is Douglas Nedab, and I am one of the international fellows with Peace Players South Africa. And I want to welcome you to our very first edition of, drumroll please, Coaches Unboxed. And Coaches Unboxed is an interview series where we will peel back the layers of coaches' journey from their childhood as participants up until where they are today as coaches. And as many of you know who are basketball fans, the coaches box is a certain line that coaches cannot cross, that they have to be restricted to, which is close to their bench and not past the scores table. And while we want our coaches to adhere to these restrictions while coaching, we don't want them to, however, be restricted in their aspirations for their future. We want that to be limitless, and we want them to dream big. So I'm looking forward to getting this interview series started. And we will start this interview series off with one of my friends, Coach Maud Mthembu, and we are looking forward to putting the ball in their court.
Hello everyone, Coach Maud here. I am from PeacePlayers, South Africa, based in Durban. I am 23 years of age. I've been coaching for 2 years and Peace Player participant 2 years as well.
Maud, I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your journey to where you were and where you are today. Ready to get going?
Ready?
So Maud, tell me a little bit more about yourself, where you're from, and what led you to Peace Players.
Okay, so I am from KwaZulu-Natal. I am in a small town called Imangete. I've been, as I mentioned, I've been replaced for almost 2 years now as a coach, and then I've moved quite a lot, so I can't really say I grew up in that, like the small town. I a lot as a kid, but I am currently in Durban, and I am currently doing sports and exercise science at the college, Durban campus, and I am working on a little physics program that is still under construction. Don't get into it. I am 23 old. I just turned 23 this month. Yes.
Exciting, Maud. I know you mentioned to me a lot about your upbringing as well. And I just want you to tell me a little bit more about growing up in Mangete and what occupied your time before you were a participant with Peace Players.
So as I mentioned that I moved a lot growing up, and so I was hardly around my family. So my upbringing was quite eventful with a lot of negatives, unfortunately. But I was fortunate enough to find a positive escape in playing sports and being active at church. I think I can safely say that God kind of used those two safe spaces in my life to kind of template adverse conditions I was living under. And before I was a Peace Player participant, I was doing athletics. I was in a school choir, sort of a dance move at some point. I did spend a lot of time at the library. I was a bookie and I still am. I remember I was in like grade 5 and I discovered that I could draw. So yeah, and from grade 6, I've been writing music and poems. So it's been a journey, an active journey. Yeah.
That's awesome. Like many kids in our program, I feel like when we're young, we have our feet in a whole lot of different things, but it's good to see that you still have your feet in basketball and that you're impacting so many of the kids with Peace Players, and you are one of the more high energy coaches. So we really appreciate you coming aboard with us for the amount of time that you've been. And you talk a little bit about, your eventful upbringing and a little bit of the negatives that happened in your life. Can you talk a little bit more about that and, the people that kind of surrounded you during those times and what kind of helped you through and was that outlet for you for basketball?
Okay, so when I was moving around, I actually wasn't moving around with my family. It was just me staying with family friends and staying with relatives. And obviously not being at home for one is an issue because there's a certain, I feel there's a certain attention you get from your parents and the love and nurturing that a child should get from like an actual, they're like biological parents. And that warmth and that love and caringness and I kind of just did not get that growing up, because I mean, you stay with people. For one, I actually felt like a burden to those people that I used to stay with. And some actually made it seem as if I was a burden. So I guess it was a very just unhealthy environment as a whole. So I just kind of grew up feeling like I'm not feeling like I'm the odd person, having to feel that way almost like your whole life. It kind of just becomes you. So I felt unaccepted. I felt unloved. I felt unappreciated. I just, I just had all the negative emotions that built a negative internal environment in me. And with sports, that's where I kind of like felt like I had it kind of just I just shut down in sports. It's just Maud. It's Maud doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people know me as a very confident and out there person. Honestly, I don't know where did that come about, because I know inside I was probably I was so scared of everything. I was doubting everything I was doing. I just didn't know. I was just going through life, and I guess with like sports, playing sports, and most of all being introduced to PeacePlayers, I feel like that's when I got that really grounded, like that, I don't know, how can I put this? That safe space. That's where I found the safe space when I became a part of PeacePlayers, because it's more than just participants participating in a sport. There's this family union going on. There's this love, there's this care that you receive as a participant. So that right there is what kind of, it actually, it instilled, it was that blueprint for me in sports, of just me loving sport and just being able to just lose myself in a good way and just playing and like, I guess to shifting the focus from all the negativity that was happening. Basketball kind of helped me do that. I shifted my focus. I knew I had to be at practice, like I had to go for training at this time. I had to work. That's the thing. I had to work because I'm part of a team, and I need to work. We need to work together. I need to play my part as a teammate. It doesn't matter if you're afraid. Do it afraid. So I feel like that's where I got my tenacity. The tenace that people saw. I kind of took it from that, just being part of a team, and I guess a part of me had always wanted to be a part of a team, a part of something. I feel like there's the worst thing that could happen to a human being is just not knowing where you belong. And I felt like I found that belonging place when I was playing basketball, especially when I started playing for PeacePlayers, because it was just, I just felt like I had brothers, I had sisters. I took care of them, they took care of me. And yeah, it was a very healthy relationship, and I just kind of stuck with that. I stuck with that, and it's something I want to give back to other young people who are going through the same thing that I went through, and even worse. To just kind of, because we deal with things different, like in different ways. We lose ourselves, like in different ways, and it's unfortunate that sometimes we tend to do things that are not really productive for our future, that really do make things worse for us. So I'm kind of like wanting, and that usually happens when kids do not have an alternative. So I'm wanting to bring that like sports as an alternative for kids to kind of deal with anger, with anger management, and those type of things, because kids go through a lot, and unfortunately people just think because we're kids we don't go through anything. We don't have things that we are dealing with. We don't have challenges. So I want to create a safe place for young people to be able to express themselves in a healthy environment, in a place where they are safe, they are cared for, they are looked after, and just having the best interest for like young kids. So yeah, I guess that's just was me. It was, oh my word, my childhood was like scary.
Yeah,
Now that I look at it now, I feel like now that I'm here and it was I
yeah,
was like, wow. And it's nothing. I feel like I it was the dangerous part about it is that I got used to being treated unfairly. I got used to be treated badly. I got used to that. So I started accepting that
mhm,
I started accepting that you are a burden to people. You are, when you don't believe that you deserve something, you don't know how to receive it. So
mhm,
I feel like I struggled a lot with appreciating what people are doing for me. And I just, I couldn't, at some point, I couldn't even take a compliment. I'll just shove it back and be like, oh no, you do it better than me. And I think that kind of had a big, I always say I would be, I always say that if I could go back and without everything that I was going through, I probably would have, I don't know, I don't know if I pray that people actually just get it really. But I feel like I would have been a better player if I wasn't going through what I was going through. I feel like sometimes I feeling like I wasn't good enough.
mhm,
It made me perform as a not good enough player. And I just always held back. I just always held back. I grew up in an environment where you are supposed to sit there, not do anything. You don't deserve anything. You are just annoying. Just sit there. So I kind of I learned to dim my light. And I was afraid. I was just I think above all things, I was just really afraid. I was afraid of taking chances. I was afraid of taking risks. I just always played it safe with everything and everything. I was afraid of getting it wrong. I was afraid of making mistakes. I was afraid just failing for
yeah,
me was not an option. So that kind of like, you know, I just, I think there's, what is this? A speech by Denzel Washington. He says, if you don't fail, that means you're not even trying. That's what I wasn't doing. I wasn't challenging myself enough. I didn't challenge myself enough because I was afraid of failing. I just stuck to what I knew and just, I was taught to be in a box. So I literally just stayed in a box.
yeah.
So I guess I was affected in those ways, like negatively. That's how it affected me. But I I am still very grateful for the Peace Play experience because I feel that really just it could have been worse,
Yeah.
and it kind of like contained it, and and just kind of made it look good.
Mhm.
It made it all look good.
Yeah, one of your points around like adults making it appear sometimes that younger kids don't go through things that are challenging and are stressful in their lives really resonated with me because I remember when I was younger, I had one of my family members even tell me when I was in high school, I told them I was stressed about something that was going on in my life, and they almost made it seem and minimize it to the point where it made it seem like um I was going crazy or something like that. Like I can't experience things just because I'm a younger age than you, and kind of like you said, kind of like dimming my whatever I have going on, whether that's dimming my light or dimming my my problems that I feel like are important in the world. And I think it's important for us to always talk them out when we get the chance to. And to that point, I know you mentioned how you felt like you were a burden at some point to some people, even in your family. But do you feel like now that helps you today when you're with the kids and being able to recognize certain behaviors and traits in kids that you may have seen, in yourself at that time? And does that help you get them past certain hurdles today that you may have had to go through while you were a younger child at their age? Or is it kind of a different approach to, how you go about it now?
It really did help me
Mhm.
to kind of, okay, my past experiences are actually helping me when it comes to just dealing with people in general,
Yeah.
especially my kids. Um, I think I understand and I actually not just understand it, but I appreciate and want to go an extra mile when it comes to my kids.
Yeah.
I I I kind of like I don't want to take what I'm seeing, but I kind of want to know where it came from. Like if I see something that
Yeah.
a kid did, and then I don't just I don't rush into saying, oh, you are the problem in this team. You need to fix that. But I kind of just want to sit them down and ask them, is everything okay? Like, are you good? You were doing this. Do you want to tell me why you did that? I feel like my approach um is definitely in relation to what I have been through, and I kind of see those gray areas, and I'm like, okay, I recognize that. And I just try by all means to approach it in a manner that it does not worsen the situation and it does not give the child an idea that they are not safe.
So I appreciate you telling us a little bit about, your upbringing.
Yeah.
So as far as basketball goes, how did you get involved with basketball, and was there a significant person in your life who impacted you to the point where you wanted to not only play basketball but to continue coaching basketball post high school?
Like back in the day, it was very stereotypical in schools. They would just have the
Mhm.
basic sports in converted commas, as in like soccer for boys and then netball for girls, nothing else. So I obviously like was I was very active. So at some point I had to play sports. So I started playing netball, and I was in grade 2. When I played netball, I literally have such a vivid memory, and that's how not interested I was in netball. I didn't like it at all. I don't know why. And started with netball, and then I don't even remember attending games because it was just not in it was not in me. And then when I moved to a different school, they had netball, soccer, and then they had athletics. So I already knew me and netball were not clicking. Went to athletics. I moved to another school, and then they had netball and soccer once again. And then I had to be active. That's the only thing that they could offer. So I went for netball. And I had an issue with the coach because what actually discouraged me to like leave netball in grade 5 now, I I will always have and like it will always demotivate me how the coach will always shout at me because I will hold the ball and I would actually bounce it. And at the time I did not know there was a sport that actually bounces the ball, requires you to bounce the ball. But I would just hold the ball for some odd reason, and I was center. That's the thing. They always be as a center, like in a center position. So I would bounce the ball, and the coach will go ballistic because it would happen all the time. So I got kind of discouraged, being the black sheep of the team, and then I just left netball. And in grade 6, it was like I felt like I don't know, I felt like I was entering like heaven because it was hometown and it was home time. And I was with my sister. I remember I was holding her by the hand. We were going to catch the bus back home. And I heard, I heard noises. And then when I looked at, I looked at the basketball court was like at a lower level at school. So when I looked at that, I was like, oh my word, I could not believe my eyes. Those kids were dribbling the ball. They were dribbling the ball. I was like, my word. I knew that they dribbled. At that time, I actually thought that netball was doing it wrong. So in my head, I was like, I knew the ball was supposed to be dribbled.
Yeah.
And then I made a pact. I was like, next year, I'm going to join the sport because I couldn't join the sport that year. My living conditions couldn't allow me to participate in mural activities. And that's when I met basketball. Like it was such a beautiful moment for me. And with regards to like people that really inspired me, it was Coach Nasib, who's now my boss of Africa. And it's if it wasn't for her foundation, actually, I she if it wasn't for the foundation she provided, I don't think I would have persevered in any sports at all. Um, I actually always it's such a surprise because till this day, I would literally hear her voice like when I'm playing sports, and that's how concrete and that's how fixed her teachings were. It's she was just this inspiring and positive force in my life growing up. She was very positive. She was genuine. She just adored, and it was so good to have her as someone to look to. She was amazing. And Dylan, my coach, my high school coach, Dylan. Dylan was such an inspiration. That man drove me. He believed in me. He challenged me. And because of him pushing me, I actually was the first girl in QHS history to play a first team boys match in basketball, and I contributed to the win. Yay! I was first team captain of like for basketball and soccer. I attained full colors for basketball, soccer, and hockey, and I was stated senior sportswoman for the years 2015 and 2013. And it's because of that one guy that just always believed in me. I was like, you know what? If there's any competition and there's anything that needed me to be present, it's like, you can do it. And I really appreciated that because I grew up as a didn't have that much self-confidence. So I fed off from their confidence in me, and it was just amazing. It was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. You mentioned the CP and her journey, which she tells me about a lot. You mentioned netball, which is quite funny to me because honestly, as an American being in South Africa, my first time hearing about netball was when I got out there with you guys, and I saw this strange sport where people weren't dribbling, and they were just shooting with like this with no backboard. It's strange to me, but that goes to show you, man. All we need is the exposure to it and to see something else. But it's pretty cool now that I see it, and I've tried it.
Cool.
Quite different from basketball, but I have to say I enjoy basketball a little bit more than I do netball, and it sounds like you do as well.
Yeah. I can relate.
Yeah, you mentioned your sister and her influence as well, amongst many others like Nasipi and Dylan on your life. And I want to just play you a short message from your sister, which I think you might enjoy.
I wanted you to become a TV presenter actually, because I couldn't become a TV presenter. So my mission in life was to make you a superstar. So that's why like the whole moving in with me in Durban during my varsity school days. I really wanted you to move from the village to come to Durban so that you can just sort of like experience city life. And also I wanted you to have that kind of ambition where you didn't limit yourself to village life. So that is why I think at that time I really convinced my parents that you have to come stay with me. I remember when you went to high school, that was your sports of choice. Actually, you started doing basketball, even though I can recall that it wasn't in your at your high school. It wasn't part of the girls didn't play basketball in high school. I think you were one of the first people to play basketball at school. So I was so proud of you I actually commended you for it was like so weird. Every time we'd see you playing basketball and it's like you're the only girl. And I remember we had moved to a house in Mbilo at that time when you started high school, and you would be so fascinated. I'm the only girl. You were the only girl in the team, and you'd go to practice, come back, and be talking about the sport. It was just so beautiful. After that, basketball just became your thing. even with you buying like your basketball ball, everything about you, you just lived and breathed basketball. And it was you. The whole family started understanding that this is your
I
thing.
did.
Yeah, and then you just completely, you were into, you loved the games, you loved going to the games. I remember my friend Pilile at the time, one of my, like, it was either Pilile or I can't remember, or it was Pikachu that was your coach. Like, so I remember you used to go to their games, and I remember you being excited that Pilile, my friend, was your coach at that time, because she was the one that worked for PPI, if I'm not mistaken. So the PPI, I've known them for a long time. So I remember like being introduced to PPI from that time, and we had no idea actually that you were going to end up at PPI at that time. When you just liked being coached by my friends that were working for PPI at that time. Fast forward to what you are doing now, like everything is just so amazing. You are very athletic. That's what I can tell about you. You are very athletic. You are very focused. You are, I love everything, the woman that you've become. I love the fact that like you're a very prayerful woman. I love the fact that like you're a go-getter. You, when you want something, you do it. I love the fact that like you have a plan and you follow through with that plan. And the fact that you pray about all the things that you want in life, that is it. I even learn from you. You are teaching me some of the things, you know, and it's beautiful to watch you having become, having grown so much, and seeing you grow so much, and having, working for the PPI now is it's so beautiful to watch you being so passionate, because yeah, the word is passionate. You are passionate about what you're doing, because you even speak about the kids that you're coaching. We are really, really proud of you at home. Everything that you've achieved thus far, we are proud of you. We are proud of the person that you are. We really, we truly believe that you're going to make it and you're going to be very successful. We love your tenacity and your hard work and your passion. You also love exercising, like you're a gym fanatic nje wena. Like we even joke, you know what, Tina, we should be paying you for coaching us, or being our gym fitness trainers. But yeah, everything you do it with passion, and that is so beautiful to watch. I just wish you all the best. I just wish that all your dreams could come true. And I really hope that your family, EPPI, it can see the things that we see in you, and you going to have an imprint, not only where you work, but the people around you, the people that you surround yourself with, the lives that you're going to touch with this job. It's just, I know that you are going to make an impact. I know and I believe that being the kind of person that you are, you always want to you always want your presence to be felt in a very positive way. So I really love the fact that like you are doing something that you are passionate about. And I'm proud of the fact that like you are actually living your dream.
You made me cry, you know that. Oh my God, I wasn't expecting it. What a surprise.
I was gonna ask you, what's your initial reaction? How did that make you feel hearing from your sister?
Oh my word, where do I begin now? Now you're trying to make me. I don't like getting emotional. Why are you doing this to me?
Nothing wrong
Oh
with
Lord, that was beautiful. So unexpected. What a surprise. That was so beautiful. My word, I never stayed with my family. So to actually wow, to actually hear all the positive words means a lot. I feel that I've always given myself such a hard time. Lord knows, me being a perfectionist is not a good thing. It's a big negative. I feel like I just always want to get it right. And when I get it wrong, I will punish myself for it. So I'm glad that people that I the people that I am so diligently working for, they recognize and they notice that I just want to be the best that I can be for them more than anything. And wow, that was amazing.
And some of the things that she mentioned in the short time that I've known you, I've recognized that as well. As I said, you're one of the more energetic coaches, and we're definitely glad and appreciative to have you. And I want to dive a little bit deeper. How has COVID impacted you? And do you miss the kids? How have you been as far as communication with them?
Um, my word, I'm a very I appreciate intimacy. Like I like being present. I like the energy exchange that happens when people are in the same place. And I honestly feel that sports is one of the ways we are still able to connect like that as people, as to physically be present. You like with technology taking over, it's one of those things that we literally have in common. It's either you're a fan or you actually are a participant in a sport. Change, it does bring in the good and the bad, but I feel like it's what you take out of it that matters. And for me, I guess I just missed being like on the actual court, and being there with my kids and sharing my energy with my kids and just receiving the same from them. And I honestly, I'm a big believer that environment greatly influences productivity. The environment is it's like even with school, I really felt like this year was the hardest year to learn because there's this grounding energy that you get when you're attending campus. You kind of know that you're going to go to school and you kind of feed off from the energy that I have to be in school, I have to study, there's an assignment coming up. Where else I'm at home, everyone is having a jolly good time. And now I have to literally forcefully challenge myself to be a student, So it was very challenging. It required a lot of, it had a lot of strain, but it had its good and its bad. But yeah, I feel like with even basketball, like teaching basketball, there's so much information that you grasp as a kid, or anyone for that matter, that you grasp physically, like during physical learning, rather than remote learning. There's so much. Even with, as I'm a student as well, it was very hard for me to learn. So I can kind of imagine how hard it was for our kids to kind of be at home, and they're now in conflict with everyone's activity. They have to dribble the ball at the same time, and with everything that was going on, they had to like readjust. And so it's that's just my take on the COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely have to say, like, there's lessons in all of this, good and bad in all of this. And I think one thing that cannot be taken for granted for sure throughout COVID is like the human interaction and being in person and then being able to talk amongst your friends. I mean, we all miss that. And I think that we won't take it for granted as much when things get back to somewhat normal. So I'm looking forward to that day. Who knows when it will be, but I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm sure kids miss you and are looking forward to in-person programming with you as well. And for me, I think, it's been about self-awareness. That's the biggest thing for me, as far as understanding things I need to get better at. So what's one of the bigger takeaways for you, I guess, amongst all that's going on with COVID? And that could be whether your personal life with players, with the kids, anything. What's the biggest takeaway for you?
The biggest takeaway is what, for one, those kids mean the world to me. I love those kids because I miss them so much. Oh my word. And even like, I feel like even as coaches, we get so comfortable with seeing each other whenever we want to. And I kind of figured out, oh my word, I miss my crazy bunch of colleagues. I miss them so much. I miss their energy. I miss the side jokes, the side comments. I miss people just messing around and us just building each other all at the same time. And Another thing is, like you said, it's self-awareness. I felt like the lockdown kind of brought you towards yourself.
No doubt.
You had to you had the time to evaluate. You had the time to go back to the drawing board. Like, what is it that I haven't been doing? And it wasn't a matter of you seeking it. It was a matter of what you have not been doing, knocking on your door and be like, yeah, you've been ignoring me, and it's even like personal aspects of our lives. You were like, it kind of set you down. Like, didn't you feel like you were like, it was like a young judgment day. It was like a young judgment day. Like you kind of sat down, you're like, and you retrospected, you introspected, you reflected, you did all the necessary things. And I really pray that it's not just a small it's not like a small number of us that actually went through that. I really hope and pray it's like it's all of us. I really hope actually that's how everyone feels, because really when we come back to normal lives, I think we could experience a beautiful and great transformation in the world, not just in the world. If everyone had literally took out the same like if everyone had the same outcome from this, honestly, I think we're breaking things. We are doing things after this, definitely.
I'm definitely looking forward to, seeing people that I haven't seen since COVID and seeing like, what changes they made in their lives as I'm sure in the same for me. Looking forward to that. So one of my next questions is I want to ask you, like who else- I see your sister, we heard from your sister. Who else have you been able to lean on during these times? I guess get you through, because like we said, we have that human to human interaction, but the people that we're close, we're still in contact with them, maybe on a closer level than with the people that we work with. So who have you been able to lean on during these times?
You know what? I was like, I think it's one of the biggest positives about COVID, like not COVID, about the lockdown. The biggest positives was me going back home and being with my family. Yeah, it's the biggest part. I always say it was very hard for me to be a student when the house is on fire, everyone's having fun, and we are quite a big family, so trust me, it gets really wild. It gets too wild. So it was my family. I had such the greatest support. They were just there. I've literally found solace in cooking, waking up and making breakfast for my family and cooking dinner, and like just being there, waking up and just being part of a family. Yeah, it actually, I even, on a personal note, I even had moments where I cried so much about things that happened to me 10 years ago, because I started realizing that, oh my word, it's not what I thought it was. I was like, oh my word, it was really messed up. So like I feel like everything that I think what happens sometimes, especially like having a really difficult upbringing, the pain becomes too big for you, and so you don't deal with it. And you will find something, like with me, I was occupied with sports, and I was everywhere, and I didn't realize it as I was growing older. I was literally building walls around this really bad situations, and those were not good walls. Like they were not made with a good heart and good intention. So being so close to people who love me and who support me and who I love so much, and they mean so much to me, it was amazing. It's like I always say that I work so hard for my family, but sometimes I actually got this revelation that you cannot really try to change something that you don't know. And I felt like I did not know my family that much. So it took me to go back to that and just get to see what is it that I'm working towards. It kind of gave me that perspective and what my family needed from me, what my family expected from me. And it's literally not much. And I've been probably carrying a burden for so long for something that's not even it. So I just having my family was just so amazing. It was great. I literally couldn't. The funny story is I'm always ready to leave home, but I will literally go for like 2 days, come here and attend campus. And when dad tells me that he's not gonna come through, he's working, he's probably gonna come, he's probably gonna come fetch me the next 2 days. I would cry because I wanted to go back home. And that's how, yeah, I became a baby again.
That's real. That's real. And I appreciate your candidness with us and your vulnerability as well. And a lot of the points that you touched on, I was getting chills over here because I've had those same reflection points 10 years back, 15 years back, thinking about things that I've completely ignored that have been right in my face. And this moment of reflection is important for us for that reason. And you mentioned those people like your family that you can lean on during these times, which I'm sure we've all have hopefully been able to lean on. So I have just a few more messages for you to show you, a few more videos to show, and I hope you'll enjoy this quick message from somebody who
You guys are killing me.
So proud of you because when you grow up, when a problem is full. Sick worried about you whether you make it. But to my surprise, you are too good now. Playing sports, exercising, taking, all those things. And you seem to be healthier than what I was expecting. So I'm very, very happy for you. Okay. That's so wonderful. I wish you grow up on sport and the gym in general. I want you to do better. I want you to do best. I want you to go places with these things because you've got passion for sports. I can see you even studies, studying towards that. I'm so happy. I want the world to see you. You go out there and show to the world that you are the best. And you're good at interacting with people. You are a good sports person. I hope you'll do well. I'm wishing you all the best. You go out to the world and show them that blacks, especially women, can do it. And they can do it the best.
I see.
You got me with that one. You got me.
I see you have some emotions flowing. So I just, again, I want to get your initial reactions. Just seeing your dad, talk about you in that light.
You know the bond that a child usually makes with their mom? That's the bond that I had with my dad. Because I'm literally the only child that he actually got an experience to change their nappies. I'm that child. And he, like, we bonded like that. And I always thank God for the bond that I have with my dad, because going away for so long away from home, he's the only person because of that bond, I could easily like lean on him. Like I could easily connect with him. And that's just the kind of love that kind of grounded me. We're like best buddies. Like we even have a dance move, Dad and I. That's how deep it is. He embodies the supernatural human being, so imperfectly perfect. And just I even appreciate just him like being a very like being like an OG, he's my dad is I know he looks charming, but he's grown, he's an elderly, and he's one of the elder generation that really is very, they're very strict, they don't believe in this what people called side careers, the new careers, the dynamic careers that we now follow as young people. So for him to just understand me and not even just me, with each and every one of us. My dad was that person. He literally would follow, he would ask you to follow your heart. He never told anyone in the family that this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. So for them to really, for him to just agree, you know, because as a man of the house, you know, for him to agree that I continue pursuing my career, the sports career, it's amazing.
You know, we have family in our lives, and then we also have friends as well that kind of impact us as well. And, you know, some things you can go to family about that you can't go to friends about, and vice versa. I think that it's important to touch both for different things. So for me, I want to make sure I send you one more quick message from a good friend I think that you know, and I hope you enjoy this message as well.
What is it now?
Hi, PeacePlayers family. My name is Zippo, and I am Maud's best friend. Maud, I am so proud of the woman that you have grown into. But I think more than anything, it's important to highlight that you have always been a groundbreaker since high school. I remember when you became the first girl to join the boys basketball team. And at that time, our school hadn't set up a team for girls. It was just a boys only sport. And I don't think they had realized just how powerful women are until you stepped into that field and you showed them that you were just as good as the boys, even not better. You achieved full colors for basketball, and that put a spotlight on you, and you became our head girl. I am very, very proud of the way you stood up for yourself at that time, because women were not seen as good enough as boys in our team. Because it was a boys' school before, I think they had the mindset that girls weren't really as good enough or as bad as the boys when it comes to sport. So you really changed the mindset of the principal and the school, and taking women just as serious, because after you had joined the school, it encouraged so many other girls to join the basketball team, and you just basically gave them the confidence and the boost that we needed to see another woman doing it. And you did that, and you excelled so well. I'm also very proud of the work that you have been doing with PeacePlayers and the primary school and the children that you have been working with this year. I remember when you first started, you were quite nervous because it's a new team, and it was children that were a lot younger than the team that you used to work with back in high school. So it was a new ground for you, a new territory, and you killed it. Because I remember you mentioning that the boys hadn't really won. Your team hadn't really won a game in such a long time. And after you working with them a couple of weeks, building their confidence, building their skills, you guys won a couple of games. So I'm really, really proud of the way you were able to work with children in such a way that they were not only good at what they were doing, they excelled and they became winners again. So I think that just also shows the type of person that you are, and the type of skill sets that you are able to groom people, and you are able to help them grow, and that you are able to help them build confidence. So I am really, really, really proud of you as well, and the work that you are doing with PeacePlayers. I think out of the 8 years that I have known you, there's never been a point where barriers stopped you from achieving your goals. There's never been a point where just because something was hard or it has never been done before, that stopped you from doing great and excelling and making history. You are a driven woman, a woman who leads by example and is not afraid to lead by example. And for you to be in a sports that is dominated by male, like basketball, and not be afraid, and especially in the world that we live in, especially in a time where there's gender-based violence, where women are not taken as serious or given credit, the same credit as it is given men, and you're deciding that you're going to join this fraternity, you are going to join the sports world, and you are not going to be afraid, must be commended. Must be commended. And that, I think, that shows your character and the type of person that you are. You're a hard worker, you are driven, you are focused, and you are fearless. And I think that's the type of leaders that sport needs.
Oh my word, that's my girl right there. That's my girl.
Yeah.
Her name is Uzizi Pom Cha. My word, we come a long way. I remember this one turning point for our friendship, and I think most people just, they really underestimate the power of friendship.
Yes.
And it is as powerful as it is as powerful as a romantic relationship. It is as powerful as a relationship you have with your family and your siblings. I don't tend to be emotional. I don't know. I like to keep it cool. I like to keep it on a hush hush. And she's very, and I guess and that's the thing. She's my, she adds that balance in my life. She allows me to be this vulnerable woman you see now is because she was the young lady who taught her to be, that it's okay to be vulnerable.
I think most of us have that one person
Oh my gosh.
our lives outside of our family who has had that type of impact on us. And I'm just glad to see, your reaction and that these people really mean this to you or mean this much to you. That's important. And I'm glad we got to get a few messages from them. And I want to transition into, we talk about women's empowerment and things like that. And I know you had an event that you attended virtually. One of our partners, the Sport for Social Change Network. I just want you to touch on the biggest outcomes and takeaways from that event as a whole, and the different people that may have talked during that discussion and what you took out of that.
As much as I'm a sports person, because the hype is not so big for sports women,
Yep.
I'm also a victim to not knowing so much of what's going on in the female body of sports. So with me being blinded, I don't want to lie, it really did I kind of felt like I was limited because I was always questioning myself, but where is everyone? Where are the women? And who's doing this? Who's doing that? Being someone who wants to, really advance the female body in sports, I was like, okay, I can't possibly be the one person or just this generation to be the first generation to break records and break grounds. Someone must have started this somewhere, and and obviously just seeing how things were and how downplayed sport, like female sports, how downplayed female sports can be in South Africa. It was very discouraging. You kind of just, as an upcoming sportswoman, you just like, okay, where do I start? You kind of like, okay, who do I talk to? Where do I start? And I think there was a time where I was asked, I think most people ask me, who's your role model? And because I'm a sports person, they'll assume that obviously I would talk about someone in sports, but I would literally try to find a woman that embodies what I value in sports, and I would not find that. So when I had this conversation with the ladies on the 7th of August 2020, so basically the conversation on the webinar focused on the overdue advancements of the female body in sports. And I think it is safe to say that the struggles and challenges for women in sports still exists, and and obviously it is time that we take serious actions against the sports system malfunction. I remember one of the panelists in the webinar did emphasize how it's time for us not to ask for attention, but to literally command it. We can't just sit around and wait for change. We need to actually go out there and break doors now, and not knock, but break doors and command that we're giving the attention that we deserve. And one of the major issues that we touched on the discussion is the lack of sponsorships. I think we all know that to run programs and for like sports conferences, the very needed women's sports conferences that will raise awareness of women, of female sports, is very much needed, and it needs financial support, to be successfully implemented. So a suggestion that I personally liked, that I would be the first in line when it comes to going for it and fighting with that. So I'm literally first in line. So a suggestion was raised, and then that's like, maybe it's time that we turn to the big brands that we support as women. There's makeup, there's hair, shoes. We love our shoes. We love our bags. We love a lot of things. Yeah. And I honestly feel if we can get into deep, with the finances, in the shopping malls, I bet you one people, the group that is really bringing in the business is the full group. That's for sure. Okay, we are always in stores, and it even goes to with cosmetics and literally etc type of situation. It's a whole lot. Yeah. So it was raised that we could actually start approaching the big brands that we support, because that's where most of our money goes to, and we ask them to sponsor the female sports movements. We ask them to invest in female sports.
I like that.
Yes, obviously, as big brands, they are looking for they're looking out for value of their money, and we are not going to be oblivious to that fact that we also need to generate money. And I'd like to quote this one of my favorite quotes by far in sports, is that if more brands were to realize the full weight of their influence in the sporting sphere and demand gender equality in sports, we'll collectively be able to put a much deeper crack in the glass ceiling. And that is actually by Katie LaBelle. She's actually a writer in Cape Town, I think. Yeah, and I could agree with that quote more. I really couldn't agree with it more with Kate more, because honestly, for us, it's just representation. It's not like we're not doing the job. We are. Women are out there and they're working. We do put in the work, and if you look at soccer for one, our national female soccer team made they made it to the Women's Africa Cup finals and qualified for the 2019 World Cup, something that the male soccer team has never done before. Yeah. That they've never done that one. And not to compare, but to just show, okay, I am comparing, but I'm not saying which one is better than the other per se, but I'm just saying that it's basically taking to my point that the results are there. We are doing the work. We are working. It's the exposure, it's the hype. We're not getting that enough. Right. No one wants to invest in us. Yeah, no one wants to invest. And if we can get people to invest, even with regards to the highlights, have you noticed even DSTV, they'll show highlights. Most of the time they show the male figures in sports doing the most, as if we're not doing the most. I mean, if we have qualified for a World Cup and have made it to the Women's Africa Cup finals, are you telling me that there aren't any spotlights that we can use from those games? You know, like I'm sure there are tons. And that's the thing, they're selling us, you know, and it's at the end of the day, if you're going to talk about sponsorship and money, we need to talk about selling there. The word selling will come up, and we are not being sold enough. We are a product as well. And obviously, if you keep your product in the shelf and you cover it with your red gown, no one is going to see it. No one's going to appreciate it. No one's going to see it. No matter how gold it is, no matter how beautiful and glistening it looks, it still won't shine because no one is making the effort towards developing women's sports. No one is doing that. At the end of the day, what the message I would like to send to women, that at the end of the day, we need to be vigorous with our movements. We need to not play games. We need to go for it. We need to go for it. And it may sound as a joke when I'm saying let's buying makeup, expensive makeup and expensive shoes. Some people might say, oh no, but what are you gonna wear? But you know what? If you want to change something, you better do something you've never done before to get the results you never received. Absolutely. So we've been doing the same thing, you know, we've been doing the same thing. So let's change how we do. Let's, at the end of the day, if we put this to work, we need to take risks. We need to take risks. With everything great, sacrifice is required. Boldness is required. And that's what we women are naturally, natural, bold people. And we are good with, we put in the fight. We put in the fight. Let's not lay low. Even with us women in sports, because not everyone is in sports, but with us women in sports, we need to go at the approach our fellow women to say, hey, this is an aspect, a female aspect that is not being recognized. Because if we can have something so influential like sports that really brings people together, imagine us fighting all this gender-based violence in that spotlight, sharing that spotlight with fighting other cases that actually affect women. You know, it's not just about seeing that one, oh, you just want to make female sports people famous. It's not about that. It's about building a different platform that is worldwide, that everyone, it's world renowned. Sports is world renowned. You know, it's one of the things that really we have in common as people. You can be a fan, you can be a coach, you can be a commentator, a player. It involves everyone. Because if we have a player in sports that has a family, they have relatives, and it builds a community, you know. So if we can change community by community, we get somewhere, wouldn't we?
Yeah, and I just want to say, like, I hope just like the conversation like you had with the Sport for Social Change Network ignited a fire in you. And I know you had a fire way before that, but I know that this helped a lot towards that. But I hope that your message to females out there right now, that, you know, it starts with one person saying something about something that bothers them and eventually is going to affect a group of people as well. So it starts with these conversations, and they're important to have, and we shouldn't shy away from them. So I appreciate you talking a little bit about Sport for Social Change Network, our partners over at Sport for Social Change. Appreciate you guys, Alan Williams and your team. And we're grateful to have you guys aboard with us. And to wrap up the interview, I just want to a few one or two liners. I'm going to ask you two more questions that I would like you to touch on, you know. And the first one is, what does a peaceful South Africa look like for you? And I know that may be difficult to describe in a one or two liner, but just to give us like a brief perspective of what you think a peaceful South Africa looks like.
I think if I could sum all of my points in one sentence, I will say it's seeing people as people, understanding that people are not the problem, but people have problems. And our leaders and everyone else, not just them, need to start establishing and coming up with innovative ideas that will tackle those problems. And we will all share our land. We will all share the earth. And one more thing is having leaders, having leaders that are for the people, like creative leaders that are for the people, and they're all about bettering the lives of the people that they're leading, their followers. Yeah.
And my next question is, what are your aspirations and where will we see you in the next 5 to 10 years? I want you to speak it into existence right now in front of all of our Peace Players South Africa family, and not only our Peace Players South Africa family, but our family across the world in Cyprus, the Middle East, Northern Ireland, and in the US, and really right across the universe. Like, I want you to speak it into existence right now. Where will we see you in 5 to 10 years? Let's make it happen.
So first things first, you will see me, or I see myself as a PhD graduate in physiotherapy. And I see myself successfully running a fitness and sports development program in less fortunate communities. I see myself building recreational facilities in schools and less fortunate communities. I see myself as a world-renowned physiotherapist and running my practice. And obviously, I see this space on a TV screens. I don't know doing what as yet, but that's for me to know and you to find out.
Like your sister said, that's something that she wanted for you a long time ago. So really, I can't wait to see you make all of that stuff happen. And for all of our viewers out there, if you guys are in a position to help Maud in any sense at all, please reach out to us at sa@peaceplayers.org. Again, that is sa@peaceplayers.org. We will make sure we put you in contact with Maud. Yep. So our 24-second shot clock segment will be a segment where I will ask the coaches or participants 4 questions, and they'll try to give me the answers back within the 24 seconds. As you all know, there is a 24-second shot clock in basketball. So I'm looking forward to getting this series started. Maud, who is your favorite basketball player?
Sue Bird.
What is your favorite WNBA or NBA team?
Seattle Storm.
What is your favorite thing about Peace Players?
My first tournament at the age of 13.
Who won the 95, 2007, and 2019 World Cup?
South Africa.
So Maud, I really appreciate your time and you opening the box on who you are and your journey from a participant to where you are now as a coach and what you look to be in the future. And again, as I said, anybody that's open and willing to put Maud in touch with anybody who can help her achieve her goals, please let us know and email us. Without further ado, I'd like to ask you, Maud, to please sign us off.
Thank you everyone for tuning in on the first edition of Coaches Unboxed. Okay.